So we'll take up the fourth mantra of the Uttara Narayana of Purusha Sukta, which is Yo Devebhya Atapati Yo Devanam Purohitaha Purvo Yo Devebhyo Jataha Namo Ruchaya Brahmaye. You remember in one of the classes I mentioned, when you are studying Sanskrit poetry, this Rigveda mantra is a poetry, then you have got to reorganize that in a prose format. So when you do that, Anvaya, then it will become easier to understand. So, Devebhyaha Yaha Atapati. Devebhyaha Yo Devebhyaha Atapati Yo Devanam Purohitaha Purvo Yo Devebhyo Jataha Namo Ruchaya Brahmaye. So this is Devebhyaha Yaha Atapati Devanam Yaha Purohitaha Yaha Devebhyo Purve Jataha Tasya Brahmaye Ruchaya Tasya Ruchaya Brahmaye Namaha. So that is how the prose order will come. That means Devebhyaha Yaha Atapati. So if you look at the, as I mentioned, the way to study is you have to look at it as Adibhautika, that which is in the environment. Adibhautika is you have the sun, you have the Surya who is shining. But the shining of the Surya has got two abilities in the star called sun. That is, one is the ability to give light. And the speciality of the sun is it is self-luminous. Its luminosity is not borrowed from elsewhere. Then the second important thing about the sun is he also gives heat. So heat and light, without heat and light, we can't call that entity as sun. And sun, we cannot call just heat or light on itself, by itself or by themselves. We cannot call that as sun either. It is only when the heat and light is induced into the matter which makes up the sun, then we can call it as sun. So what is the definition for a sun? Sun is the one which has got heat and light, which emits heat and light. But heat and light are extrinsic to matter, isn't it? If you just look at matter, then if heat and light was intrinsic to matter, then every piece of matter should have heat and light. But we also see many aspects of matter, like water, for example, which does not have heat or light. And therefore, where did this heat and light come from? So it's heat and light which gives the ability for us to call that object as sun is extrinsic to the object itself. So if you extrapolate this to every manifestation of the ability of every piece of matter, then what do we understand? A matter manifests itself with its glory, whose glory is coming from elsewhere. And that elsewhere shines through this matter. Because otherwise we will be confused by saying, well, heat and light is there. So heat and light without the medium of matter is imperceptible. Just as the electricity that is flowing in the circuit is not perceptible without an object which is using that electricity. Isn't it? And therefore, what should we understand? Yaha, that which is Devebhyaha. Here Deva is used as the various aspects of matter capable of expressing the energy that has gone into it. For example, the sun has got the ability to express heat and light. Water has the ability to express its satiety. So therefore this is at the Adi Bhautika level, at the level of the matter. Then there is Adi Daivika. So we worship sun because of the material part, or are you worshipping because of the energy part? Why are we worshipping the sun? We are worshipping the sun because he gives us heat and energy, and without giving that heat and energy we are unable to exist. And heat and energy in the form with which we can use cannot be got from any other source than Surya. And therefore we look up at Surya with awe and respect and honor. And therefore we prostrate before the sun. So please don't misunderstand that this is religion, but this is spirituality. Because in spirituality, what do is we recognize the eminence. Whoever recognizes the eminence inside is a worshipper. And therefore in the Adi Daivika form, that is as a expression of a deification. See, the word deity in English also comes, which says shining, that which shines. So that which shines these intrinsic abilities by providing the material ground for it, we use it as Deva. We use it the word the Devata, Deva, God. And therefore we have Surya as God, we have Chandra as God, we have Apahar, water as God, we have Prithvi, the earth, as goddess. Why Prithvi is goddess and the sun is a god? Why the gender difference? It is because Prithvi is the one which actually gives birth. It gives birth to food. It gives birth to creatures. And therefore whichever gives birth is associated with the feminine gender. And therefore we call Prithvi as Devi. So Deva is masculine, Devi is feminine. So Atapati means Atapam karoti prakashayati iti is the etymology. So that which makes its eminence shine through is called Atapati. Yaha, that which gives Devebhyaha, for all the Devatas that we spoke of at the Adi Bhautika level, at the Adi Daivika level, and at the Adhyatmika level. We'll take one example of our ability to see. What does our eyes provide? It provides the ground. It provides a matter which is capable of absorbing a form, of perceiving a form, backed up by mind, which will be able to recognize a form. Mind here includes memory, it includes a sense of individuality, it includes intellect, it also includes the emotion. All these four, which we call as the inner awareness or inner ability, called Antakarana, all these four together we will call it as mind, and that mind is called Adhyatmika. So at the Adi Bhautika level, at the Adhyatmika level, at the Adi Daivika level, at all these three levels, a perfect ground comes into contact with a perfect energy in perfect proportion, and therefore it shines through, prakashayati. How can that happen without an intelligent being? And that intelligent being, yo devebhyaha atapati, yaha devebhyaha chakshurindriyaya arthan dadati. We can also parse it like that. For example, for the sense organ called the eye, that which gives not only a meaning for its existence, but also a means of existence. It also provides a means of existence. For example, if there was no ability for the light to be reflected in the eye. There is no meaning for us for having the eye, and there is no means by which an instrument becomes useful. And therefore the word Sanskrit word artha is very appropriately used because it is meaning and also means. And of course purpose. So therefore yo devebhyaha atapati, for the sake of using that. How does that happen? What is the eminence of this being? It is because this is instantaneous. By the time your eye, the vision, the sight, falls on an object, what is the delta, the time difference between the moment you see the eye and the time taken for you to perceive the object? Infinitesimal, isn't it? It is instantaneous. How can that happen unless this being is Brahmaye? That's where you have to connect it. And what kind of Brahma? What is Brahmaye? What is the definition of Brahmaye? Brahmaye means that which is worthy of knowing. So again we have to ask, what is the purpose of knowing all these things? Why should I know these things? It is because it is worthy of knowing. I will come in a minute, its worth. So Brahmaye, that means Brahmano yogyam brahmyam. Brahmam. Brahmano yogyam brahmam. Brahmana means ana. The suffix ana means to know, to gain knowledge. Brih means the expanding. So the expanding knowledge is worthy of our knowing. And that which is worthy of our knowing is Brahmam. To that Brahmam, that is Brahmaye, I offer my salutations. Why? Because it is worthy because of its eminence, and it is also worthy to be known. Then, so therefore, how to know that this Brahma, that is this entity which is worthy of knowing, exists? How do we know that it exists? There the Rishi is now coming. Ruchaya. Ruchaya means Rochamanaya, Dipyamanaya, because it provides the ability for the object to shine through. That which shines through, that which illumines, that which shines through, that which not only shines through by itself, but also throws its light of knowledge onto the perceiver. Contemplate on this for a minute. Here is the book. This book is now luminous. Why? Because this matter has been illumined by this Brahmaye, who is worthy of knowing, isn't it? But then that also has been revealed to me by my eyes. My eyes is capable of receiving this information because of Brahmaye, which is Ruchaya, which has the capacity to perceive any form. The ability to perceive the form is embedded in my eyes. The ability to reveal itself is embedded in the object. And the ability to connect the object's availability and the perception of the eye is also Brahmaye. Therefore, the object is Brahma. The seer is Brahma. The process of seeing is Brahma. So that which is capable of being seen, seeability, all of these things, is that not worthy of our worship? So why is it worthy of worship? Because of it. Illumination, illumination, illumination. Illumination of the object, illumination of the recipient of the information, illumination of the process. At all these three levels there is illumination, Ruchaya, and therefore to that Brahmaye. Now the question arises when you analyze this statement, What is the sequence in which this happens? Shall we say that the object exists, and after a brief period, however brief it is, whatever you go to nanoseconds, however brief it is, somehow this energy comes there. It is only because of our own acuity of observation we think that it is instantaneous, isn't it? But in fact, it came afterwards. Did it come afterwards? To answer that question, the mantra says, Devebhyaha Purvebhyaha. Purusha Sukta is quite a challenging text to interpret. If you start asking questions, then you will see. Otherwise, it looks so easy. Well, we will now prostrate before this energy, and then you become religious. That's all. which serves its purpose. Namo Ruchaya Brahmaye. Then, how did this come through? Purve yo devebhyaha jataha. That which was existing here. Jataha means, please don't interpret it was created. Because then the question starts, what was there before that? Isn't it? Here jataha means not, don't take it as a past continuous tense. You take it as that which always existed. That which existed, yaha, that devebhyaha purve. That is even before all these matter, illumination, perception, object of perception, before all of those things, yo devebhya, that was already existing. This Maha Chaitanya has entered into all devatas. The simplest example is when you actually heat water. When you heat water, you know very easily the process. That means there is a cold water, there is a heater, and the heater is heating this water. This heat has entered into this water, to every single molecule of the water. Isn't it? Did it happen sequentially? Or did it happen instantaneously? The whole thing gets warm instantaneously. So this is how the devas, which is also all our sentiency, all our sense organs, all the sentient beings, just as Agni enters into water, into cold water, and then makes it hot, to that energy, Ruchaya Brahmaye Namaha. Now, another interesting question arises. Because there is a common sense observation that nobody does anything without a purpose. Nobody does anything without profit. Isn't it? And therefore, is this process also because of some motivation? If so, what is the motivation? We have to address that question. So immediately this says, Devanam Purohitaha. Yo Devebhya Atapati. As you are studying this, you repeatedly memorize, chant the mantra, you will catch it. Yo Devebhyo Atapati. Yo Devanam Purohitaha. So what was the purpose for all these things? It is because Purohitaha. Hitaha means that which is good. That which is always blessing. The very nature is to bless. This Brahma nature, there is no agenda other than to bless. And therefore, its efficiency is because it is capable of blessing, and nothing else, no other reason, no discrimination, no choice. This is why when Surya actually shines, he does not say, this is a good man, let me warm him, this is not a bad man, therefore let me allow him to become cold. It doesn't do it. Now this you can apply to every single devatas, that you can say a thirsty person, irrespective of his quality of that person, the nature of water is to satiate the thirst. Therefore Purohita. Prakhita, if somebody is, we are all prakhita, isn't it? We are all good to somebody who has already done good to us. Whereas Ishvara is Purohitaha. Here. So once you have done good, you can't take it back. And this is the nature. Therefore, Namaha. And therefore, worthy of Namaskara. This is the well-known Shruti that you will have seen. Yo brahmanam vidadhati purvam yo vai vedamscha prahinoti tasmat. Shvetashtra Upanishad. In Shvetashtra. Then, for those of you who are more familiar with the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verse number 8 is parses this. Aham sarvasya prabhavaha mattas sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddhaha bhava samanvitaha. So, aham sarvasya prabhavaha. I am the one who creates all these things. Yo deve purvebhyo devebhyaha. Isn't it? Immediately maps to that. Mattas sarvaha prakashate. It is because of me everything is shining. Ruchaya. And then iti matva bhajante mam. Those who clearly understand this and worship me. How should they worship? Who should worship? Buddha. That means the learned. How should they worship? Bhava samanvitaha. They must have this sense of gratitude, this sense of acknowledging that here is Ishvara, who is Purohitaha, who is not ex post facto favorable. He is a priori favorable. And that a priori favorable, who is Paramartha Tattva Atishaya Abhavat. Paramartha Tattva, in this Paramartha Tattva, whoever has got Atishaya Abhimana means extraordinary honor, extraordinary respect, extraordinary reverence. In this highest concept is called a Buddha. Not every intelligent person can be called a Buddha. A learned person is one who recognizes this extraordinary nature of Ruchaya Brahmaye. He is a Buddha. To him, Namaha. Namo Ruchaya Brahmaye. Nama means na vidyate. Na means na vidyate. It does not exist. Me, mama, that is my own, nothing exists. Is the etymology of the word Nama. Na vidyate mama kinchit swatvam. Swa means my own. Tvam, satvam means my own minus. That swatva, whoever is there, then such a person is a Buddha. So how do we actually realize this? We have this covering on this inner energy, which is the heat and light of the sun, is covered by the various aspects of matter. Like that for me also, my body, my sense organs, all of these things are the covering, but all of these are functioning because of that which is existing in me. And when did it exist in me? When did it come into me? Devebhyo purve jatha. It came into me even before me. It is so here also, whatever karma and all those karma, various theories are there. In spite of that, he is giving us an opportunity to overcome all that karma. And therefore he is Purohitaha. He is good to us even before we exist. So this also gives us an attitude, never blame God for whatever you are going through in your life. Because all those things you are going through in your life, if you are going through any hardship, any challenges in your life, always realize there is inside this Ruchaya Brahmaye. And then one who knows this, one who knows all these things, knows God. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, verse number 12. Yadadityagatam tejaha jagad bhasayate akhilam yat chandramasi yat chagnau tat tejo vidhi mamakam. Yat adityagatam tejaha, whatever energy has gone into this Surya, akhilam jagat yat bhasayate, the entire universe which is shining, because of whom? Yat chandramasi, that which is in the moon, yat agne, what is there in the fire, tat tejaha, think that those eminence, mamakam vidhi, think of, it is me. Me means Brahman actually. Know that all this tejas. So what is the summary of this mantra? In this mantra, to whom is this mantra addressed? Who is the competent person to contemplate on this mantra? This is available to anybody who is seeking liberation, mumukshu, and also very appropriate for one who is seeking meaning for life. It is not for the philosopher only. Because just imagine for a moment, all of us are building this enterprise called our life. We take birth, we go and get education, we work, and then we build our empires, we build our homes, we build a career, we build companies. For what? At the end to die? Isn't it? Think for a moment. The whole thing we have built in 70, 80, 90 years of our life, if it culminates only Bhasmantam Shariram, it ends in death, don't you feel that life is futile? Is it not so depressing to think about that? But here, this mantra tells us all those things are incidental. If you are able to learn something, if you are able to get a degree, if you are able to get a job, if you are able to get a promotion, it is all because he is inside making all this happen. He, she, it. That's why the neuter gender is used. Brahmaye. And therefore, knowing that is the purpose. If you know that, it gives meaning for all the edifice of life you have built. If you know that, even if you have failed to do any of that, it doesn't matter. Suddenly it gives a tremendous amount of purpose, because that purpose to live, that purpose to die, saying that I have achieved everything I need to, we call it as krityata, that is, I have done everything I have to do. I have nothing more to do. I have nothing more to get. Once you get that sense, are you not liberated? Yeah. So that sense of liberation is called rucha. So even if you take the grammatical form of ruchaya, for the sake of ruchaya, Chaturthi Bhakti, right? Yes. For the sake of rucha, for the sake of this rucha, for this purpose, if I do that, then my life is successful. So what will be the benchmark of my success? The benchmark for my success is not comparing somebody else, comparing me to Bill Gates and say, oh, my life is a failure. But here you have achieved the very highest. Yajnatva, having known, there is no return. There's one more beautiful, very apt extract from the Gita. Yadyad vibhutimat sarvam. Yadyad vibhutimat sarvam directly applies to Yodevebhya Atapati. Srimat Urjitamevava directly to Yodevanam Purohitaha. तत्तदेवागत अवगच्छत्वं नमो रुचाय ब्राह्मये मम तेजो अंशसंभवं पूर्वेभ्यो देवेभ्यो जातः. This is jnana. Everything else is ajnana. I promised last week that I am going to talk about ajnana. I will take up the concept of what exactly is ajnana once we complete the rest of the Purusha Sukta. This is the true jnana that this mantra talks about. One of the most beautiful mantras of the Purusha Sukta. Yo devebhya atapati, yo devanam purohitah, purvo yo devebhyo jatah, namo ruchaya brahmaye. Good. Continue in the next class.